This is the Pop Culture Spread weekly show. I'm Jason, and of course, here's my partner in crime, Rick. How are you, mate?
How are you? Good, Jason. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, if I'm sounding a bit lackluster today, it is because I have just come off a really long shift working in a polling booth here in Adelaide. We had to vote for our new premier. Guy runs the place. So I, last minute, got involved in the polling scenario, and I was a hygiene officer, which is
what does that
kind of ironic. So
what does that entail, Jace? What
it entailed me every time somebody got onto and voted. Right, I'd have to go clean the surface straight afterwards.
Oh wow!
Which, you know, I started to think that means every clown who potentially had COVID and was there, I was the first contact on their servers like afterwards. So if I collapse halfway through the show, Rick, you'll know why. But yeah, I'm a little bit tired, but I'm still very keen. I love doing this show, as you know, Rick. I look forward to this.
As we do.
So yeah, let's I reckon, get into it and we've broken the show now into segments to make it easier for you guys listening and watching out there. We're kind of getting a bit more structured. So we're going to start that off with what we like to call, what have we been watching?
Here I come. Here I come.
Okay, Rick, let's talk about what you've been watching this week, mate. And I'm going to let you go first. What has been on your TV or on the cinema screen for you?
Yeah, look, I've been watching a show. I'm not really heavily into anime, but this one had popped up. It was on Disney Plus in the Star section. So it's a show called Hit Monkey that Marvel do. So it was a comic book that came out in the 90s, and it basically, just to sum it up really quickly, it tells the tale of a wrong Japanese snow monkey, right, which is mentored by a ghost of an American assassin, and they go on their quest for a revenge quest through Tokyo, Japan. So it is a great monkey assassin who, it is really, really good. Very violent. It's got Jason Sudeikis as one of the voices. Also, Olivia Munn as well. I know she's not much of a, not much people think about her.
She's more somebody to visually watch than maybe listen to.
For this, you know. George Takei, is in that one.
Oh, my.
Star Trek guy. Yeah. So he's in it. So it's really, really good. 10 episodes. They go for about half an hour. Very, very violent, but it's very, very good.
So Star is obviously a subsection here in Australia for our Disney Plus, like an international way. We get to see a lot of the Fox content. Also, a lot of stuff that's on Hulu. I think Hit Monkey is on Hulu show in America. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, what I've been watching is I've been watching three major things this week, Rick, but two of them no one's going to give a shit about. One is it's the first round of the AFL, Australian Football League this week. So
that's right.
I'm living and breathing the footy. Go Crows for today.
KO.
And then, on KO, which is our sports streaming service, which is phenomenal. Highly recommend.
Not sponsored by KO.
The other thing I've been watching is Married at First Sight, so we won't get talking about Olivia.
We're not going to get into that.
We're not going to get into that. No. What I've been watching is a show it's a documentary series called We Need to Talk About Cosby. Now you're going, what? Yes.
Wow.
This show, 4-part series that I've been watching. And I knew it wasn't going to be a fun watch, but damn, is it interesting, Rick. Because, we all know that Cosby's a monster, right? Absolute monster. This isn't one or two people. This is, dozens and dozens of victims that Bill Cosby and the things that he's done to them over the decades. But it's a very hard watch because you start to realize that Bill Cosby, besides being a monster, he isn't just a monster. He's a guy who was heavily involved in the 70s for children's education.
Yeah.
So you're watching this documentary series and you're going like, this prick, I can't. And then you realize that people are complex, Rick. There are always many sides to people. It doesn't justify the horrific actions he does, but does it cancel out everything else that he's done in his life? Does it cancel out all the things that he did for children's education in the 70s and 80s? Does it cancel out that he was known in the comedy circles as one of the greatest comedians of all time?
Of course.
And I think this documentary series, Rick, really makes you ask that question of yourself. Because he did what he did, does that invalidate everything else he ever did? And it's not a question I can give a yes or no to because I think it's a personal thing. But either way, it's a Showtime show. I watched it here on, I think it was Amazon or Paramount Plus, one of the two. Check it out. Just absolutely check it out because it's one of those shows that's worth kind of watching because it asks you to ask some tough questions of yourself, which I thought was fascinating. Anyway, Rick, that's
there we go. Okay,
we'll move on from something so heady, I think, but it is a great show. You got to watch it. You got to check it out.
That's it.
Let's move on to what we call Marvel and DC.
I'm vengeance. I am Groot.
All right, here we go. And this is the section of the show where we just talk about stories of Marvel and DC and generally all comic book, movie related, TV show related stuff because it's a big part of our show. So we thought we'd give it its own section. Absolutely. So let's start that off, Rick. And I think the first story I wanted to talk about was Spider-Man No Way From Home. We've got some amazing people in that movie. Obviously you got Andrew and Toby and then all the villains, but there was a great little cameo in it and everybody freaked out when we saw it. And I was talking about, of course, Daredevil being in there. So Matt Murdock made an appearance in it, but there's a story that's just come out this week, and this is from Comic Book Resources, CBR.com, saying that Daredevil is reportedly landing a reboot at Marvel Studios.
Good. About time.
But it asks an interesting question, doesn't it, Rick? A reboot. So is this a new version of Matt Murdock? Is this a different alternate universe one? Because in this, if they're going to reboot it, does that mean in this world he doesn't have Karen? Foggy Nelson potentially is different. He hasn't come across the Hand or met Elektra yet. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that is worth asking around what kind of reboot is this? Was this a completely different Matt Murdock from the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And so if that's the case, then they can do whatever they want with him. They can retell the stories if they want. What do you think about this, Rick?
Look, I think it's a good move by Marvel, I reckon. I mean, why continue on from the previous Daredevil, as we've seen, like you said, we've seen different variants on different characters before in other shows, as we saw in Hawkeye. So I think this is great. So that's right. So I think this is a good way for Marvel to just express the character a little bit differently and see a different version of it. So I'm all for it. And if they're gonna have Charlie Cox playing Matt Murdock,
well, that's a commitment Kevin Feige has made. Okay, Rick, would you prefer it to be a new series or a movie?
No, I'd go series because I really enjoyed this character in that series. I just think you can invest more into it and you can do a hell of a lot more of that character. Movie, definitely a series for sure.
I think series is probably the better way to go, Rick. I mean, I think a movie, it probably would do well in the box office. I don't think there's many Marvel films that don't.
We need to redo that Daredevil.
Yeah, then you've got to wait another 3 years for a sequel rather than a show can just kind of go through it. And because it's such a street level superhero, it probably lends itself budgetary wise to being a TV show rather than a movie. So very interesting stuff. But who isn't thrilled about having Charlie Cox back?
So, and they've dropped obviously all the series on Disney Plus, so they're all on there now. So get on them and check them out.
Yeah, which is now should be perceived as an alternate universe.
Yeah,
rather than maybe before when we first watched them, we thought it was directly attached to the MCU. There you go. All right, let's move on. One of the key figureheads, the glue of the MCU, Rick, is Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury. And he's been away for a while. He came, we saw him a little bit and then he kind of disappeared out of the MCU a while. But he's coming back, mate, in a big, bad way. This story from comingsoon.net with the title of Samuel Jackson discusses filming 3 Marvel projects at once.
At once. Wow.
See, they film just about all these films, most of them anyway,
Back
at
to back.
Atlanta
Mm.
in America. And so what was happening is he was filming Secret Invasion,
Yep.
some of it which was done in London, I believe, but I think he was doing stuff in Atlanta with Secret Invasion. Then he was also filming the Marvels, because obviously he was in the first Captain Marvel.
Mhm.
You would expect to see Nick Fury in the sequel.
Second.
But this is the one that kind of blew me away. The third project they talk about in this story is the fact that he's in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania,
Wow. Okay.
which is really surprising. Like I personally was not aware that he was in.
I didn't think
that
it was going to
movie.
be it. No.
No. So it's great to see that Samuel Jackson, who is, I think, in his mid-70s at this point.
Is he?
Yeah, man. Like he doesn't look at a day over 50.
Does not.
He does not. He's
Man.
he's taken whatever Paul Rudd's taken.
Oh,
So
good for
they
him.
just don't age, you know. So yeah, like he's back, but I reckon we may even see him. There's a good chance we're probably going to see a little bit of him in Doctor Strange, right?
Yeah. If
Like,
he's in that type of universe and it's in
well,
the
the
quantum
question
realm
I ask, Rick, is can you
makes
have an
sense.
Illuminati in the MCU
without
Nick Fury? Because Nick
Yeah.
Fury's been such an important figurehead
right.
throughout the MCU.
Yep.
So yeah, fantastic stuff. I'm thrilled to see Samuel Jackson. Loves doing it, and is super going to be involved in.
Okay, wait. It's three. At least that's three guaranteed projects we know he's going to be in. So
Yeah, let alone more. He'll just keep doing
More.
projects until
look, as long as they keep throwing money at him, he'll be loving it.
Yeah. But I think it's one of those things.
He's great.
I think Samuel Jackson loves to be part of pop culture.
He does.
And certainly, I mean, he come out recently and said he had only recently spoken to Deborah Chow. Now, Deborah Chow is the person responsible for making for the Obi-Wan Kenobi. And he come out recently and said, can you hook a brother up? I'd like to be back Mace Windu again.
Back into it.
So it would be great to see. Like, that's Samuel Jackson. If he can be part of a giant blockbuster, he's a fan, remember. That's what people don't forget. He's a fan. He's proud to be in this stuff.
And it shows on the screen.
Oh,
it's
it
just
does.
amazing.
It does. Yeah. Great. All right. Now let's move over to, we've done a couple of Marvel stories. Let's have a look at this week's DC story. They are currently in production of a film franchise about a character that I think he's a Jewish character, Rick. I don't know if you know anything about him, and that's Blue Beetle.
Yep.
There's a Blue Beetle film coming out. I think originally it was supposed to be a HBO Max series, but they've moved it to a theatrical release.
They're going to do it as a movie. Okay.
I believe so.
Interesting.
Unless I'm wrong there. Screen Rant has dumped a story this week. The Blue Beetle director has already ideas for sequels, which is jumping the gun a little bit.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So depending how Blue Beetle does critically and commercially, the director has ideas planned for potential sequels. The DCEU is bringing in several new heroes. So obviously they're trying to bring in, they're trying to diversify their roster because DC haven't really done that yet, have they?
No. Hey, look, I think it's a good idea. I mean, depending on which way they go, and I'm assuming they're going to go.
Blue Beetle is a visually interesting character. Do you know anything about him, Rick?
Look, there's actually three Blue Beetles over the years. This character's been around since like the 1930s. And DC didn't acquire this character, the rights to this character, until the 80s. But I'm thinking they're going to go with the Jamie Reyes Blue Beetle, which is a young student, and then I think a high school student, which comes across a scarab, which is like a Blue Beetle armor, high tech armor. So I think that's the way they're going to go.
Yeah, it's a cool looking outfit. And stuff like that. You know who they cast though, Rick? And I'm thrilled about the casting.
Who they cast?
They cast the kid from Cobra Kai.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah,
Miguel
Zolo. Miguel. Yeah, but his real name. Yeah, Miguel.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at pronouncing names, but yeah,
that's why
they got that
Miguel.
Kid. That's great casting, right?
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and he would have all that type of moves as well. He'd be able to do all that type of fighting sequences and
he's physically fit as. So very good casting. So
very cool.
You know what? Yeah. let's hope they can do something interesting with Blue Beetle. And we get a film that, we can all kind of enjoy and like I said, diversify the DCEU roster. So
Good things
there
happening
you
with
go.
DC.
Now let's move back to, we've got a story here about Marvel about a little known character. I don't know anything about this character at all, and I don't think a lot of people do, obviously. But Sony, who are currently obviously developing their Spider-Verse, have come out with a movie called Madam Web, starring Dakota Johnson.
Wow. Okay.
So, and I don't know anything about this character, but Sydney Sweeney is Euphoria. Sydney Sweeney.
I know you were going on about this show. It's really good.
Look, her performance. I mean, she not only for the lowest commentator, she bears all, right? A lot. In that show. She's naked a lot. But it's not what is amazing about this actress. Her raw performance, her emotional range. She is someone you got to watch out for because she is incredibly engaging and a fantastic actress. So, that show Euphoria, Rick. I'm telling you, I so recommend that show. Just because everyone thinks, it's a Zendaya show, but no, it's the two standouts for me. It was obviously Sydney Sweeney and the daughter of Judd Apatow and Leslie Mann. She was played a little girl in This Is 40, and she is incredible in that show. So
wow, okay.
So anyway, but we're going to talk about Madam Web. So Madam Web, I haven't even known anything about it, but okay, let's have a look at the blurb and what Joe Blow says here. Madam Web will revolve around Cassandra Webb, a character traditionally depicted as an elderly blind woman suffering from a chronic neuromuscular disease that hinders her movement and respiratory functions. As a byproduct of a condition, Madam Web remains to a life support system that looks very much like a spider's web. Not without powers of her own, Cassandra is a clairvoyant and imbued with precognitive abilities to allow her to see other paths along the web of life.
Interesting.
It's an interesting idea for a character. Obviously, they're making her a younger version, like you're not having an old lady, but her powers don't really seem to
they don't scream
fit in action. They don't scream action, do they?
No, I know she. In the comics, they helped Spider-Man find a kid that was lost or something. It was kidnapped.
Okay, because she's
what I mean. So it's clairvoyant. You know what I mean? But it doesn't scream.
No,
action.
This is clearly going to be a reimagining. But the fact is, I think as actresses, both Dakota Johnson and Sydney Sweeney,
it's good casting.
Part of the new generation. I watch it based upon just really admiring those two as actresses, was actors these days. But there you go. That's Sony are really going for it, Rick, aren't they? They're really trying to expand their universe.
They have to.
Yeah. Do they? I just hope I mean, like Kraven the Hunter. I mean, I like who they've cast in that, but I know that's an expansion. We've got Morbius coming out one day. We've got. I don't know. Anyway, mate, let's move on to the MCU again. And I'm talking about Sam Raimi's Doctor Strange, the Multimate. Will make fans of Evil Dead 2 very happy. This is a big call.
Big call.
So you're basically saying that we're getting raw, crazy Sam Raimi kind of film. And anyone who's ever seen Evil Dead 2, if you haven't seen Evil Dead 2, you have to see it. One of the greatest horror comedies of all time.
Correct.
And it's why they mention that. It's because Sam Raimi has this particular style of filming, Rick, that is so visceral and so exciting, and the camera's always moving, that it really defines his style, and it just makes for such entertaining content. Just to know that Kevin Feige, the notes that Raimi got from Kevin Feige were like, this action is cool, but you're competing with Avengers and Spider-Man. Don't forget the Sam Raimi part. So you've got Kevin Feige going, Sam, we just want you to be you. Don't worry about everything else.
Yeah.
You film it the way you want to film it. So it's really exciting. I just, not a big story, Rick. Just, Evil Dead 2. It has actually amped up my excitement level a couple more notches.
I mean, yeah. Evil Dead 2 was out of the three. I mean, all three were great. It's hard to compare which is going to be the greatest out of all of them. A lot of people say Evil Dead 2 was probably the best.
Yeah, I would say it's probably the three I love as well. The first one, remember, is just a full to 100% horror.
Yeah,
that's right. No comedy in that whatsoever. But it goes from horror to horror comedy, and then to comedy adventure.
Comedy, yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, can't wait.
Hey,
not long now, Rick.
That's it.
Less than a couple
Bring
of
it
months.
on.
Here we go. Now that ends our Marvel DC set. There was a little bit of news this week, Rick. So that was fun to do.
It's good.
But now let's move on to the general news.
Mood is tense. I have been on some serious reports, but nothing quite like this.
All right, Rick. Now let's have a talk about the big news, I think, in the world of film this week is absolutely, and this
massive.
Still, there's a lot of purchases going around, but Amazon now officially acquires MGM. MGM, like one of the oldest, most well-respected, like the most glamorous, very Hollywood kind of old school Hollywood. MGM has now been bought by Amazon. But what does that mean, Rick? What does that mean? It means they own a lot of, like, they've only put a small sample here of some of the franchises now they have ownership with. But again, this story comes from Joe Blow. MGM has a vast catalog with more than 4,000 films. 12 Angry Men, Basic Instinct, Creed, the James Bond series, Legally Blonde, Moonstruck, Poltergeist, Raging Bull, RoboCop, Rocky, Silence of the Lambs, Stargate, Thelma and Louise, Tomb Raider, The Magnificent Seven, the Pink Panther series, the Thomas Crown Affair, and many other icons as well, including TV shows like Fargo, Handmaid's Tale, and Vikings. Like, that's a tiny, small sample, but now Amazon owns that, which means not only do they have exclusive rights to show that content, they own the properties and they now can develop those properties into new stories. So I think we're going to find from Amazon, who are not afraid about spending money, Rick. I mean, we all know how much Lord of the Rings is costing them at the moment. So they're happy to spend money, and they're happy to have their films. They're very, very big on not just streaming, but making theatrical Oscar-worthy films. So it's an interesting one, Rick, because we're going to see a whole heap of franchises that we thought maybe done, not going to come back to them or anything, probably get fresh life. And I would say my bet would be RoboCop. We'll get to see a series of that soon.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think this is great. We obviously know why they're doing it. Look, they're going head-to-head with Disney. They want to be the best here. And Netflix. I mean, Disney, obviously, we all know, bought Lucasfilms, Marvel Studios, so that's given them a big exclusive content to Disney. So now, obviously, Amazon want a piece of the pie, and they want to go hard at it. So good on them. It's going to open up a big library for everyone. That's a lot. 4,000 films, 17,000 TV shows. I mean, that's huge. Yeah. Big library. Obviously, we're not going to all hit it all at once, but it's going to come in a big way. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. Look, I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think it's I think it's smart to get all that back catalog. I think it's smart to buy IP that you can further develop and give new life into. So yeah, I think Amazon they're staking their claim, aren't they, Rick?
They definitely are.
Okay, let's move on, Rick. The next story I want to talk about. There's a little film coming out this year. I think people have forgotten that it's coming out. It's just a little film. And I'm talking about Avatar, the sequel to Avatars, which have been in development for 12 years, I believe now.
Yeah.
Are we absolutely getting a sequel to Avatar this year? And we've seen nothing of it. We've not even seen really any imagery. We've seen nothing. So this is the first bit of news that we got, but basically, one of the stars, Zoe Saldana, and we love Zoe, has come out and said that she was moved to tears.
Wow!
After watching the footage, she apparently saw 20 minutes of footage, and said, "I can get choked up just talking about it because I was able to see 20 minutes of the second installment right before the year ended last year, and I was speechless. I was moved to tears." Which was crazy. Basically, it's she reckons it goes beyond the first film in the way of the way it looks and everything else. So
The feel of it and the tone.
I'm pretty happy with that. I got to say, as someone who really does appreciate the Avatar film quite a lot, and I've seen it many, many times. I'm actually genuinely think it's one of the at least more original, big film blockbusters we're going to get in a while. It's not comic book related. It's not based on an existing IP of any kind. It's its own thing. And the fact that Zoe Saldana, who wouldn't have got paid any extra for saying that, is coming out and saying, nah, he's done something really special here. It gets my excitement level up.
Yeah, look, I like that. And look, you can't go wrong with James Cameron.
You never bet against Cameron, mate. Never bet against him.
So this is going to be phenomenal, and it's going to be great. So for her to say that, then there's obviously something very special in this movie. So very excited, and we're on track to see it. Obviously, 2022 release? They're saying
it's Christmas time.
Yeah. Nice.
Going up against Shazam, Fury of the Gods now. Apparently,
whoa,
poor Shazam. But I can't wait. And I reckon by about August, we'll start seeing trailers and stuff like that. We'll start to get a sense of this world. So, but it isn't like set the next day. It is set 12 years later.
Which makes sense.
Really. I've set it a big time. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been such a long time in between movies. So, doing that.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, that's all the stories we're going to do this week, Rick. All right.
Yeah.
So, look, we're just on the plain Google page now, so we're done. All right. So that's all the main stories I got for the week. Look, it's been a really interesting week with the news. There's lots of great stuff coming up. We're only, a week and a half away from Moon Knight, Rick. That's starting.
Yes.
We're really excited about delving into that. It's been great reports for that. We've got movies coming up soon.
What do we got? Yep.
I think Morbius will check out.
Morbius coming out. Yep.
We're not that far away from Doctor Strange. There's a lot more great TV stuff coming out. Obi-Wan Kenobi, all this other. Well, The Boys won't be too far away. Season 3 of The Boys. So that'll be fantastic. But to leave us with the show this week, Rick, and as we'll do every week, I don't know about you, but I'm a bit of a fan of TikTok. And I've spent a lot of time on TikTok cultivating my algorithms. Because, if you don't cultivate it correctly, you end up with garbage. And I've been very good at
correct.
I found this the other day on TikTok, and I thought, there is no better way that I want to end the show. I don't agree with some of what he says in this clip, but I still love it. I absolutely love it. It was one of my hilarious things. So before we go, Rick, before we start throwing to it, we need to start plugging away. And one of the big new things we've got about our show is that we're now a audio podcast as well, which you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and of course on Podbean. Absolutely, Rick. But the other thing is I need you to tell everybody out there how else they can connect with us, because it's really important that we get to chat to these guys because we're so lonely.
We do. Guys, we love your comments, so please drop us a comment down below. Also, give us a like, a thumbs up. We'd really, really appreciate it. Also, just share our content. We'd really, really love that as well. We want your feedback. And hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so you know every time one of our videos pops up. And like Jay said just then, follow us on Spotify, Podbean, and Apple Podcast to listen to us on the way to work, in the car, whatever you're doing, you can listen
Taking
to
a
us.
shit.
Yeah, well, if you want to do that, do it. And also jump on our Pop Culture Spread store and jump on and get some merch as well. So
fantastic. All right, guys, we'll get out of here now and play this clip as we go. This has been Jason. That has been Rick. You've been watching Pop Culture Spread, and we'll see you next week.
Why are there so many shows about Star Wars? We get it. The Sith are bad. They're like Nazis. From Obi Kenobi to Cassian Andor There's a spin-off for every fan. Come on, slow down, Kathleen. Sure, it was nice with the Mandalorian. Grogu was cute as can be. Then we got Boba. Now I'm kinda over another trip to Tatooine. Aliens, ice planet, poor rebel fighters, one cute and friendly droid. There's always one, Lando, the Bad Batch, Visions and Rangers, just new ways to sell new toys. There's just too many. I hope we're not getting a Jar Jar Binks limited series.
Excuse me.
Please, no. Next, there's Ahsoka. Gosh, I'm kinda over more laser sword battle scenes.